it's true. There's a lot of research which shows that employees who have more face time or those who you see more frequently tend to do far better in terms of mentoring, coaching, job opportunities, even performance assessments, despite having very clear and unambiguous performance data. Finally, there's a tendency to rate employees higher if you understand them, you see them every day. So that's an unconscious bias. So there are two ways in which you can overcome this. One is to say that, okay, in order to overcome this, we're going to say everybody works in, the same hybrid model. That means everyone comes to office on whatever, Monday, Wednesday, and everybody else, the other 3 days, everybody else works from any place of their choice. In that case, you're eliminating bias by eliminating the source of bias. You can't, however, do that if you're a large, complex organization at all, because you will inherently have some functions where your employees are, for instance, geographically distributed, or you have a tech team and you have an operations team, and you can't have the same hybrid model for them because quite simply their work just doesn't allow for that. So in that case, you need far more education of these biases so that managers are able to be conscious of it and are trained almost to look at what they're doing when people are in person and when people are remote more closely to prevent that bias.
Right.
And perhaps analytical systems, data analytical systems that will sort of caution you if you find your mentoring opportunities, coaching opportunities, or promotion opportunities are higher for those who have higher face time, because that's the bias at work.
So it's not about where the work is happening, it's about how the work is happening, right? I think one of the most important elements in hybrid working we have to keep in mind is that it starts with the pretext of trust. Indian ecosystem, the kind of jobs we have, there was a lot of thinking that, somebody has to come in at 8 and somebody has to go in at 7, and that's what we used to say at 10 hours of working. But that whole concept is changing, right? As I said, it's not about what you're doing, it's about the productivity, it's about the delivery that you are coming. Biases that we still generally see is, that person was not online, whether that colleague is working or not working. I think we have to get away from that. We have to move away from time to task. We have to move away from number of hours to the value and the output that comes up. And we have to also look at that flexibility at times enables colleagues to do better. And that's one of the most important biases that we have to really keep in mind. I think the other piece that leaders and managers have to understand is, I manage people who I see better. I think it's changing, right? And then half the teams are not even based in your own city. But just that somebody is in office, how do you know that the person is working or not working?
Yeah, so I think there's a fair amount of work that HR teams need to do with the people managers and with the business leaders, right? It's very easy for that matter. I mean, even today, right? I mean, this whole conference is all about networking, meeting. There's a lot of energy that, the physical proximity creates, and that's human psyche, right? We are social animals and we do want to be with each other. Having said that, if I have two team members and one is literally sitting next to me in an office and the other is, let's say, in a different time zone, in a remote work area, right? And I barely get to see him or her. It's but natural that I will end up having far better impression of the person who's sitting next to me versus the person who's remote, right? And so then it requires a fair amount of capability building. And the question then becomes, what are the measures of performance, right? Do your managers, for example, know how to measure performance? Do they understand how to set goals and how to say, okay, who's built or delivered productivity, who's delivered outcomes on those goals? Part of that is also do your performance management system, right? Capture real-time performance data, right, from across business, and is that integrated into your PMS? All of these measures start then countering, right? So it's partly manager capability, but part of it is also your performance management system, real-time data capture, real-time for that matter, multi-rate of feedback capture, right, both for static teams as well as for project teams. So those are some of the concepts that at least come to my mind.